Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce Lombardo, and you're watching my Only Hands account. With me today is the lovely and beautiful, talented Janet from another planet. How are you today, Janet?
Well, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to watch this cool movie. It was great.
This movie came out 27 years ago in August. I remember that opening night. It was fantastic.
It was good. It's
Yeah,
way better than I expected. I was expecting kind of a, I don't know, kind of more B rate.
this is
But
this
when I
is
read about it and found out they spent like $100 million to make it, and it was good. It was good acting, great special effects. I mean, it was action packed, and it had romance in it. It had a little of everything for everybody. So I'm
yeah.
glad.
This movie started off before I start going into vomit mode on the information. Let me say thank you to my chat. And if you were here yesterday during the game yesterday, I want to say thank you again for being part of that. Six Nation 31 Kings, first one in chat. Afternoon, ladies and gents. Glad to see this film still holds up after, good God, 27 years. Damn, I'm old. Then our lovely mod, Jackie Blue. Good luck, you too. Popcorn. This is a good film. The animation isn't bad either. The both vary slightly from the book, but all three are very entertaining. You get to compare multiple viewpoints from the source in the franchise. Our friend Hungar the Starvarian, who has a very fine shirt shop on one of his social sites, we'll get that pulled up in a second and get that link in the chat. Hungar says, "Hi everyone." Hey there, Hungar the Starvarian. Good to see you. Bruce and Janet should be in shortly. I greet the chat, greet Jackie, greet Hungar. Come on, you apes! Do you want to live forever? Says the immortal Mage's Musings.
Yeah.
Want to know more intensifies. Hungar gives us a status update. I'm doing good. I should be able to go home this week. Soy based Jeremy.
Good.
I'm dying from a cold. Hungar.
Oh,
Hungar, out with movie trivia, says, did you know that the only way the actors would do the shower scene was that the director did it with them and they did the shower so soon, so the director dropped trial and jumped in with them. Yeah, director and I think the DP stripped down naked and they told the cast to get comfortable at their own pace and just
mhm.
disrobe. And then they started the shower scene and that worked out really well.
Well, since you said that, it made me think about it during the movie. While I was thinking about it, I was thinking that would never work in real life
I don't
because
know.
I knew a few guys in the Navy that were on ships, and almost all the women they knew on the ship that were working on it were sleeping with all the men. Okay, even the ugly ones. Okay, even the ugly girls. The chubby ones with all the pimples or big hairlines or whatever were getting laid too, which
They're
risks a pregnancy. Okay.
very, very rare to find a Navy sailorette that keeps it under 10 men in her life in her vagine. Okay.
Okay. But
Very
what I
rare.
mean is, okay, so if you have as hot as the women that were in this, okay, the black girl that you saw nude, well, her boobs and stuff, and then the other girl who stripped off the whatever her name was, I can't remember her name. The one that was in love with the main character,
Dinah Meyer.
and she stripped. Okay,
Dinah Meyer.
yeah, that's her name, Dinah,
Mhm.
right? Dinah Meyer. Okay, well, when she took off her shirt, she was hot too. Okay.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is that if you had a bunch of frumpy girls and guys with big guts and lots of dimples and stuff in places where normally you don't want to see them, okay, you probably wouldn't have a lot of arousal going on. But I'm telling you right now, some of the young men I knew in their 20s, if a woman came and stripped her clothes off and started soaping up and rubbing herself in the shower, there'd be a lot of polls going around, if you know what I'm saying. So I just don't see that even in the future, unless everyone's being forced saltpeter or something like that. I just don't see how that would ever work in real life in the military. So that's just my point of view on this subject.
Janet.
You can tell me I'm lying, but tell me I'm lying.
No, I'm going to tell you that, like, The shower scene was filmed for a certain reason, mainly for
Mhm.
the fact to show their society is different than the miserable
Yeah,
society
because
we
it's
have
supposed to be the
today.
future. It's supposed to be the future, like, like Star Trek, but even Star Trek didn't have the men and women taking showers together unless they were
My,
in their own,
my
little
favorite part was that there was no
abode.
fucking pronouns. You have tits. You must be a female. You
Well,
have
just think about it. If it was really the future of right now and they had those kind of showers, you'd have a bunch of guys that had dicks and boobs running around in the showers. So
yeah, I'm good.
just think about how nice that would have been.
So
Sorry, I just thought it was funny when I saw that
it's
scene. I was like, well, that wouldn't really work in real
it's
life.
one of the most talked about parts of the entire film.
Well, yeah. Well, what guy's not going to want to see girls with their boobs hanging out and soaping up? Just like that movie you got me to watch, the Hamburger the movie,
Mhm.
right? The opening scene when they're going through the showers and the ball buster teacher or custodian woman comes in there with all the women soaping up and stuff, and in the one shower, the guy's in there with a girl. So I'm just saying, guys like movies like that. TNA was big in when did this come out in 97? Yeah. So, that was still big. I can see why they put it in there. It draws young men, besides just people blowing shit up and shooting people.
Oh,
Guys
I
like to see
mean,
TNA.
Paul Verhoeven couldn't get past the second chapter of the book because he says this book is too right wing. It's too right wing. And Paul Verhoeven's a lefty. I get it.
Yeah.
He writes really good scripts. He makes good movies, but he's a fucking lefty. He's absolutely not in love with the source material here. But that's okay. He made a movie that's not just passable, but after years and years of it being around, like a lot of people have really warmed up to it, and it's fun to watch and listen to people talk about this film
Uh-huh.
because so many people on initial viewings they couldn't stand it, they hated it. But the movie has got a cult status now, and too many people are discovering it for the first time, and they really don't get it. But the basic things that you need to study about the film are what's said in the classroom in the first act of the movie between Rathcheck and Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand the difference between citizens and civilians. And once you kind of get that, that's basically what the entire movie's about. Like, if you want to just live here and have the welfare or the basic income, you can do that. But if you want to contribute to society, if you want to shoulder the burden, here's the pathway. And I love
Trying
that.
to remember what movie that reminded me of, where they constantly had the ads with the government promoting, promoting the government, be a good person, volunteer, all that stuff. I can't remember which one it was from. Maybe it was from a combination of a few, but I like that whole thing. I wish that we had not more government doing that, but more commercials like that for like volunteering in your town, to have a community garden or things like that. But I wouldn't want it by the government,
But
but I
but
would
the
like to.
FDA for no outright cost, the FDA will ask you what your garden has in it, and you
Yeah.
can log it on the
But see,
FDA
that's the
website.
government. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
Okay.
people individually
You're
wanting
volunteering
to
information?
get people to volunteer. I mean, I remember when I was a little girl, my mom would make us make sandwiches and little baggies, and we take them up to there was like a shelter where people were there. It was mostly men, but there was a few women every so often. And we take the little lunch bags with an apple and a sandwich and some chips or whatever in it, and we'd hand it out. And we were allowed to do that. Today, you can't even
No,
donate food to a
no.
shelter without the threat of being arrested in case the person got sick. You get sued and lose your house. So
Correct.
it's like the government is so involved in everything today that you can't be nice to your neighbors anymore. You got to say, fuck you. I can't give you a sandwich because I might get arrested. It's just bullshit. Sorry. Everything ends up going back to politics.
With Janet, we waited 9 minutes and 50 seconds before she got into politics and started espousing libertarian views. It's amazing.
I'm really sorry. But yeah, I thought the whole concept of that, I thought was really, really unique, and I liked it. I mean, I thought it was really good that the government would do that. Now, it doesn't mean you have to listen, but they were basically trying to get people. Oh, that's what it was. Now I remember the whole thing when you're watching the documentaries when they're talking about the World War that we were in. Okay, 1 and 2, they had commercials like that. You go to the movies and they would have. My dad said that when he was a little boy, he remembered those really neat commercials they had before the movie started. You know, about joining the military and different things, and raising chickens and stuff like that at home to help the people, you know, so you wouldn't go hungry and things like that. And I was like, really? They used to have that? And he said, yeah. So when he was a little boy. So I don't know if it's true or not. I wasn't old enough to pay attention to that stuff.
Before we go further, I want to add something to what we're doing. One of our good friends, the T-shirt mogul himself, Hungar the Starvarian, is going to see a neurologist this week. Now, I don't need you guys to admit what your religion or spirituality might be. But if you venerate or you practice in a benevolent fashion to where you think that meditation or prayers directed at somebody for their healing aspect betters their life, if you sincerely believe that, then give this man, Hungar the Starvarian, give him some energy this week, give him some prayer, give him a word to the Creator, because we'd like to see this guy be able to stay out of the hospital and be alive and upright. I surely want to hear about his success. It sucks, but I mean, you know, ever since I've known the guy, he's in and out, and he says, "Oh, this is just, you know, part of my getting older." Well, maybe so, but you don't have to suffer so much. And I would really like to think, I prefer to believe in a creator. And I know I don't want to get too religious here, but I would like to think if you guys throw a little bit of focus and energy on that, maybe he'll be able to stay upright and out of that hospital, out of those hospital gowns a little more often. Because I would love to see that. That guy's badass. He's an awesome brother to James. And it's fun to see those two talk and sometimes argue. All right, I'm off my pulpit now. Mages is
he's a wonderful person.
Yeah, he is. He is. Mages. I'm going to doubly quote. I simp for Janet.
Oh, that's so sweet.
My wife simps for Janet too, and I simp for Janet. So we three simps.
I can tell you right now, I can't wait to meet your wife in person because I'm going to give her a great big old hug because I think she's a doll.
She's going to love you.
To put up with everything that you do in your house. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying she seems like she bends over backward for you so that you can have your time and your space when you're not at work. And that's a good woman. And men don't realize that when they have a woman like that, that they don't treat her as good as they probably should. I'm sorry, my eyes are watering really bad. My allergies are terrible. My nose is running.
Okay.
And my internet might go out because it's really thundering and storming outside. So hopefully it won't, but
you kind of look like Dizzy from the movie. And Six Nations points that out here. Simp. This was a decision they made because they couldn't get into the mindset of Heinlein. They had Neumeier read the book because Verhoeven tried and he couldn't. He's like, it's too right wing. And I think he got scared. I think he saw some evidence that the liberal
Why do you keep saying that? I don't understand. I watched it. I didn't think it had a lot of right wing stuff in it.
Book, Janet. Book.
I'm sorry.
There's a part of the movie where they have one scene where they have a guy that was a mass murderer brought out in socks, chains, and then they show the chair they're going to fry him in, and they're like,
they had that commercial.
Yeah, later tonight. It's on at 6 p.m. all net, all channels. And that, I think when you read that in the book, you just kind of feel the weight of how the world is. Like the guy that they had in stocks, he was actually mobile infantry. He was actually part of the services. And the last thing they're going to do is allow one of their own to commit such a heinous thing. And so this movie, it doesn't really take a lot of things seriously, but it does get the tone right, and it gets a lot of things right more than what it gets wrong. And
Mhm.
that scene where you get to see the guy pretty much in his final hours, that's damn near straight from the book. They don't explain a whole lot of it in the movie. They should explain a little more just to help you out. But what they do in the book, as far as right wing propaganda, um, Heinlein is not quiet about his opinions. The book is wonderful, and if you can read it and maintain your own autonomy and just read it for what it is, he gives you basically chapter and verse of why certain things just don't work. And then he gives you a solution as how society could possibly act in a different aspect to where a society would work great. But the cost is that we become a nationalist, fascist society, and
Mhm.
it would not be terrible per se, especially in a time of war, for us to have one mind, one stance, one defense, one offense. But in the long term, just
Mhm.
knowing how people are, like that military that's in charge, the veterans that are in charge,
Yeah.
we have to destabilize the entire system, get rid of all the bad termites under the foundation of a society that would need to be bred to build that in the future.
Mhm.
And the book goes into this. Like the book is not even really about the war on bugs. The book is about the war on poor decision making and acceptance and small
Building a better
concessions.
society or
Yeah,
whatever, a
yeah,
way
and
of
it
living.
really goes hard in society. Probably half the book is about this.
Because
And
so the book is more about the world
yes,
and the people in the world, not just one country or anything like
just
that.
one country.
Because
Everybody,
the whole thing when it came up about the death penalty, basically, and how watch it live at 6 p.m. or whatever it was. I remember, I think it was when Ted Bundy or one of the people were about to be fried down in Florida, and there was a bunch of protests like what you're seeing right now with the Hamas people. They were doing that all over the place about the death penalty, and I remember that. And I remember my mom arguing at a grocery store one time when two of my sisters were just watching my mom, and I think my youngest sister was in the cart, so she was little, so I don't remember exactly how old I was, and it was in a commissary, so that's on a base. And I just remember her arguing with a woman because my mother had said something, I guess it was on one of those newspapers or whatever, and they were talking about the death penalty and that how wrong it was, and that won't be long, and it's going to be like in Roman times when we have a Colosseum and we just put them all in there and feed them to the lions. And this is what this lady was saying to my mom, and my mother was telling her she was stupid and she needed to go back to school. I just remember that. So we just stood there, didn't say anything, but I just remember that was my mother's opinion about how dumb this lady was. That just because somebody puts it in the newspaper or they say it on the news does not make it a fact. So
yeah,
I guess I get a little bit of my point of view from my mom, but you learn from the people who influence you the most.
yeah,
So whoever was involved in writing the book, it was probably a lot of influences from the way they grew up. I don't know who it is. I'd have to look at that stuff, but that's what it normally comes from. It's like a child that's abused growing up. They grow up and they abuse, even though they think it's terrible and stuff, they still do it because it's a mental damage that you go through. Certain things happen to you in your life. It changes you. It changes your personality and the way you view things. So, you know,
very nice.
but that's what popped in my head when I saw that commercial, because I was like, my mom was right, about how dumb that is that people would believe that would happen, because that I just don't think it would ever happen. Even the most conservative state of Texas wouldn't have public executions that I know of. Have they ever done that in Texas?
We used to do them all the time down at the
Really?
square
When?
back in 1800s and
Oh, in
early
18, okay.
1900s.
Before
You
we
would
were
have
really
a town
civilized then.
square. You would have your town administration building. You'd have your church. You'd have your bank. All these integral buildings would be downtown. But then in the square, you'd have your fucking gallows and you'd have the person be brought up and given the noose. Then they drop the floor out from underneath him, and then he sits there and strangles a bit, or maybe he snaps his neck when he
Yeah.
falls through. But that's what used to happen in America a lot. And it's not just Texas that used to do that. Even
Well, I was just trying to
currently
think of the
liberal
most
states like Illinois
conservative.
used to do that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of the most, conservative state that I could think of that popped in my head, and that would be Texas.
South Dakota did it with wild aplomb. I believe they even show that off in Deadwood. I'm not certain if they do or not, but I know that happened during the time when all of that civilization building was going on up there. Anyway,
Yeah.
You got Six Nations State, and I love Paul Verhoeven. The more I watch his works, the more I'm convinced he's parodying Hollywood, American commercialism, and pop culture, violence in the media, etc. He does that. A lot of his films, he does that really well. Straight up high school at times for the National Guard. There's some shenanigans going down. Hungar throws the gauntlet down. Janet, I will shower with you whenever you want.
He'll be my back scratcher or my back scrubber. That's funny.
Hey, Rev, how you doing, sir? He says, cool movie.
I was trying to find something I was reading earlier. Sorry, I got like 25 pages right here. Trying to find it. It's not very good at remembering this. Now, I did get grossed out when a couple of times when what was his name? Michael Ironside, he stuck his fingers in that guy's head. That looks so real. It was disgusting. I almost gagged. I mean, I really did, because it was, even though I knew it was fake, but it was I mean, that was disgusting. That was my mother could never have watched this movie. It was just so much ooze. And then when somebody, who was it Six Nations, that asked me if I was going to dress up as the vag monster or something? I had no idea what it meant until I saw it in the screen. I was like, that was totally.
You don't think you can pull off the giant sphincter in the straw?
No, it was gross. It was so disgusting. It had eyes like a spider, but the mouth that was above the eyes was just just disgusting. It looked like a festering wound, or so. It was just gross. It was gross. I mean, it was disgusting. But then I was thinking, you were teasing me about dressing up that way. That was just gross. It just made me sick to my stomach. It was gross.
I have achieved my success.
You did achieve, because man, it was gross. It was disgusting. So I can see where a lot of the money went to make this movie, just in the creatures that they interacted with. Like when the television guy was doing a live report from, I guess, their planet, and he was talking about it, and then that one creature that looked kind of like, yeah, and he grabbed him with his big pincher claw. It looked like that's why I said, when I saw a couple of these scenes for the trailer that you showed me, I was thinking they were like praying mantises or something, because they had that same type of I had a couple pet praying mantises when I was a kid, because I thought they were super neat. I thought I would love to have my own giant praying mantis to protect me instead of a dog, because, man, I could tell you, they could take anything out if they were big. But I thought that was really cool. That was a whole neat, really awesome costumes, or whatever they used. I guess most of it was CGI, but it looked like they had actual creatures.
They had some actual prosthetics. They had some actual bugs that they built, like parts of bugs, because I don't think they ever get a full bug in a close-up shot. The thing's fucking huge. But the arachnids are mainly CGI. They have some like arms or legs. They have some bits, like the part where they shoot the eye up close. That was an actual practical effect. They spent about $60 million on special effects, just on special effects. Out of the $105 million, over half of it was for special effects.
Yeah, I was wondering that when I started to read about it. while we were watching it, I was looking up a couple things. And I was like, $100 million. So I start looking and really digging in, trying to see, you know, what did they spend this money on? And you could definitely tell they really wanted top of the notch CGI, because like I said, when I saw Ironside with his arm and his arm was gone, I was like, oh my God, that looks really good. They did a really good job. And a lot of that is, you know, the costume or the makeup person who's, you know, fixing it up for the FX part. They did a good job of making the stump look realistic, because I don't think the stump was actually CGI'd. I just think his arm, because it would probably have a sleeve on it, you know, to make it harder to see in the camera. But the actual stump was really good. And then I like that. I like the parts where they actually put lots of people that were still working to promote the government and the armies to protect the other people with lots of missing limbs and stuff and scars on their face, like the woman that was training them, the one teacher in the science lab about the creatures, and they were dissecting them.
Golden Girl Rue McClanahan.
Yeah, but she had that huge scar on the side of her face. But to me, I liked that because it showed these were veterans, people who had already fought in battle, and they, you know, from before, apparently it was the bugs they were fighting too. And as time has gone by, they've been learning. But see, the creatures were doing the same thing with us, you know, like what you saw when he stuck his nasty thing into his top of his brain and sucked out his brains, because by eating the brains, they were learning things about the humans, you know, how to kill us. And then when that giant beetle creature came up and started spitting out the flaming acid, I was thinking, you know what I was thinking, the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh my God, Bruce is going to somehow figure out a new game for all of us to play, and it's going to be from this movie, you know, or from this book, and have all these weird bugs and shit that we're going to have to try to figure out a way to, you know, to fight and not die from. Because that reminded me of that giant dragon that we fought that one time that spit the acid and stuff. And I was like, how in the hell are we supposed to beat this thing? It's resistant to everything. We're going to all fry. We're all going to die. We need to leave. So that's what popped in my head when I saw that one giant bug shooting out the flames that was melting everybody, and the people were all burning. It was real. They did a lot of, they worked really hard to make the special effects in this movie really, really good. Because even the actors were great. I couldn't believe how good an actor, the kid that the Doogie Hazard guy, how good an actor he really was. Because, you know, I just thought he could do like one-liners and stuff. Some people could do one-liners and stuff and be okay, but he could actually act. I thought that was impressive. I thought he did pretty good for his job, you know, for his character. Sorry, I'll shut up for a minute, let you speak.
You're fine. Now, this guy, Hardwick Bentho, he hits something that a lot of people, I've heard this in game stores. Hey guys, I'm a gamer. Guess what? That's where I go and hang out and talk and trade ideas for the most part, unless I'm doing this. A lot of people hate this movie because it essentially, from their perspective, it mocks the book and portrays the ideas of the author as akin to World War II German ideology, which I don't feel is correct. I feel the parts of the book that Neumeier put into the script do a very good job of showcasing the book, illustrating how a society would work really well. But a lot of people have a pre-existing opinion that they don't want to have a world where they have, you know, to live under a fascist society. The democracy thing that a lot of people have gotten into, they kind of think this is the only way that the world works and such. This is kind of new. It doesn't really work out well because all dictatorships evolve from democracies before them. So just understand that. And the fascist ideology that's explained within this book, it scared fucking Paul Verhoeven because he lived in World War II Nazi Germany. However, he's not the consenting authority of you and your opinion, and I'm not worried about how a lot of other people feel. I want you guys to be able to see this movie and just enjoy it for what it is. It has some really great ideas in it. It has a very good amount of special effects, has some good believable acting amid some small parts where the acting's really bad. I'm looking at you, Denise Richards, fucking sham artist.
I thought you did this was This was the best acting I ever saw her do. So she did
Yeah,
pretty good considering
I
that she was just
agree.
a sex
This is
pot.
the best she's ever gotten, even
Yeah.
though she is in Undercover Brother, a February pick for next year. Um, I think this is the best acting she's ever done. But the scene where she gets pierced by an arachnid from behind, and then like she's just moving her arm around, no big deal. I can hold a rifle. Look at me. What the fuck?
What was funny is I
Sorry,
hadn't seen this
sorry.
before. So the part where she's in the lab, okay, and he's pulling the guts out, and they're not wearing gloves or anything. So that to me, that
Just naked
I didn't
hands.
like that. Yeah, they just
Putting
use
your
their
hands
bare
all over
hands.
alien bodies.
Yeah, and they don't have a clue. They're studying it, but they don't know whether the DNA is going to cross through their skin. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was. I went, oh God, there's a problem. I hate doing that because I hate to say that, but they should have had gloves on at least and a lab jacket or something. They had goggles on, so I thought that was funny. But the fact that she's watching him and you could see her facial expressions like she was going to get sick, and then she's sitting there with her mouth already like full, like she was already full of something. So I knew she was going to throw up something, and it was chunky and whatever. So it did. What was it? Tree Rock said the lady who vomited in the lab grossed me out. So that was Denise Richards that did that. But the fact that she married a Charlie Sheen grosses me out more than her vomiting in this movie. What?
She really didn't need the gloves because she married. I fucked everything on cocaine.
Well, yeah. But she was she was a sex pot. I mean, that's what she was known for. She was beautiful and she could just snap her fingers and get whatever she wanted whenever she wanted it. So,
And that's
what
kind
she
of funny
did.
because on the commentary track, they don't really talk about Denise Richards so much. Although in the deleted scenes, there is an interesting shot where she's sitting in the park with Casper and he's rubbing her boob. He's got his hand up her shirt and he's playing with her boob. And that's like the most you'll ever see of her showing
Yeah.
that, I guess, because she's one of these
Hey, I
actresses.
play with mine all the time.
But the thing is that like you don't come off as a sex pot. Your voicemail message notwithstanding, you don't come off as a sex pot, and you don't come off as
You
somebody that
say
like
that.
abuses men's egos to get her way. You don't come off that way.
Well,
She comes off that
whoever
way.
put her in this movie, they must have felt the same way. Simply because every guy in the show is madly in love with her, apparently. All the rivals fighting over and all the guys drooling over her when he's talking to her on the video camera and all that stuff. I was like, that's just not reality. You know what I mean? That took me away from it too a little bit because, the woman that he was spending every day with was hot. His friend, that was a badass tomboy, basically.
Yeah,
I
but
like her.
everybody loves Dizzy. Okay, first off, I
Yeah, but they
got
loved her
a
because she was
private
a badass,
Disney
not
in
because she
Atlanta.
was hot. But see, I could see her and I thought she was hot. I thought she was very attractive. And the fact that she could kick your ass to me made her even more attractive. And I was like, what's wrong with all these guys? I mean, why would they want that when they could have her? Take her in a bar and she could be whatever you wanted for you that night, and then she could also help you beat the shit out of the other guys that are being dicks in the bar. I mean, what man would want a woman like that? I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand men that go over want all these ditzy girls, even though they try to make her really smart because she ended up being a pilot that liked to break the rules, like in Top Gun or something. I just thought that was a little over the top for her character. They put a lot of emphasis on this one actress, which really wasn't, the best actress in the movie. You know what I mean? They gave her a lot. So someone who put this together really liked her. She was playing with the right fiddles, if you know what I'm saying. If that makes any sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
To, in Hollywood to get your way. So she got her way. And, she wasn't as terrible as I was expecting either. She did really pretty good considering the movie. Is something going on? Oh, hi, Papa Cotton. Thank you for stopping in.
Ungar comes up with this really. I'm going slowly through the chat because I find the chat to be amazing today. Like we talk about a good movie that everybody loves and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When they electrocuted Ted Bundy in the town I lived in Florida. They were selling Bundy fries at the
Mhm.
McDonald's. That right there is Americana right there. That we're getting rid of this piece of shit. Come celebrate with us. We
Yeah,
can't
but
watch
see,
a fry on
that's why
television.
that's what I'm talking about. I do believe in the death penalty, and I've gotten in a few arguments for that. And this, but that's that should be voted on state by state. Just like I say about abortion and everything else, the state should be able, the people that live in that state should be able to have the say on those type of things. But the fact that if a person murders a whole family of people is a disgusting pig, like the the Hillside Stranglers and the Green River Killer and people like that. Why would anyone think that we should just put them in prison and feed them every day and let them have kids and everything else? Because Ted Bundy had a kid while he was on death row. Yeah. Why does that person have the right to do those things when the people that he murdered and slaughtered like pieces of trash don't have a life, and their families don't get to hold them and be with them anymore, but this person still can have conjugal visits and shit? I just think it's ridiculous. I don't know what kind of person could possibly believe that an eye for an eye isn't fair. I just don't understand that. So, I have a hard time with that part of stuff. And yeah, sometimes it might take me out of the actual movie when I'm watching it. But I just have a hard time with it. I've had a few arguments. I have relatives that from Norway, and they don't have that. And then when that guy went in and shot up a whole bunch of people and kids and stuff, he started thinking about it. And then he moved to Florida, and then he has a kid now, and we were talking about that, and he was like, some child molester or whatever was on death row, and he was like, yeah, I hope they fry his ass. So, and he's Norwegian, so I can, I'm just telling you, people can change their stance if they're confronted with it, if they have to see what they're doing and why we do certain things differently in America compared to other countries. So, it does have a lot to do with where you grow up and the influences in your life. And I really do think it has something to do with that. But, it's so funny. I have so many arguments with liberals because they say stuff like, well, I believe a woman has a right to choose. But then they say, I don't believe in the death penalty. I'm like, okay, you're an idiot. That's what I look at. To me, that's they're both murder. They're both killing.
I accept the fact that I think differently than other people, and they can always disagree. That's fine. That's
me too.
Fine.
They can say whatever they want. But yeah, I thought that everything they did politically with the commercials, the propaganda, it was constantly like bombarded. But see, I didn't look at that as right wing at all. That to me was more what you would see in like Germany with the the Nazis and stuff like that, or maybe even in Russia or China for sure. So to me, that was left wing. To me, all that stuff that wasn't right wing. Mm-hmm. In the movie. So is that because the person who was directing it wanted it that way, more left leaning?
I don't view this movie as right wing, left wing. I view this movie as a work of art or fiction that it describes what would be the ideal society to have to exist in if we were in for a fight of our lives. We would have to get together. We would have to have some form of unity or bond. We would not be able to say, I'm Republican, you're Democrat. We would not be able to say, you're Russian, I'm Irish. We would not be able to say human. That. We are fucking humans. And if we don't get our act together, we're going to die to these miserable, overfed cockroaches. And as a man that worked for Terminix for over 3 years, I can tell you, like, I've gone into places and I've seen floors move. I've seen like walls ripple because you turn a light on and all of a sudden you realize that's not just a wall, it's an entire like population of cockroaches you've ever seen before. And all you want to do is just go grab your bombs and just go put 6 down, pop them, close up the place, and pray that there not a whole lot of air escapes in the interim in the next 48 hours, because when you come back, you're going to have like 7 to 10 vacuum bags to get a dent made on all the dead corpses of bugs that you're going to make.
Disgusting thinking about it.
That.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
And I mean, it was written by a guy that did a lot of poli sci thought. I love Heinlein. I don't think that everything in his book would work the way he describes it, but
Mm-hmm.
after watching the cronyism in the West and how it ruins countries and how some companies just get away with carte blanche and you
Mm-hmm.
already have problems in government, I'd be willing to scrap everything we got and go for that. And I know that sounds terrible because that's exactly the same mentality that started the fucking downfall of Iran in the late 70s. Which, if you look back at Iran post or pre 79, they were the most progressive Middle Eastern country out there. And they
Mm-hmm.
looked like they were going to become a world power. But unfortunately, because we have elements of evil within our own government and in the West, we allowed them to slide into a position to where they're never going to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And all we're going to have is just refugees come out of Iran. People are like, I can't have a career because I'm a woman. I can't have the life I want because I'm a woman. Over there, I'm cattle. And so it's just, I know that I'm probably misguided on some things. I love the idea of a constitutional republic. We'll never get back to it. I'm not saying I want women to not vote. I want blacks to not vote. I didn't say that. You're taking it out of context. I want the constitutional republic. I want everybody that's able to vote legally to be able to vote for their House reps and let the House reps figure it out for the Senate and let the Senate figure it out for the Electoral College. That's what I
Yep.
want. And boy, that's probably not what everybody wants to hear, but oh well.
Well, a lot of people still believe that we should get rid of the electoral college and just go straight to popular vote.
That's fine, but a popular vote doesn't work. I mean, I'm not going to function in a fucking society very happily. I will have Tourette's. I will claim Tourette's, okay? Because if you make me deal with some pile of shit Houston mayor, now president, I'm going to be unfucking governable. All right? Go fuck yourself.
Well,
The
I think a
enemy
lot
cannot pull a gun trigger if you disable its hand. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying to find this thing that I was talking about earlier.
The guy that Six Nations is talking about, Eric Freskauer. And this guy was in a ton of good stuff. Still does some things. Kind of older now. Big, brawny, blonde-haired dude. Was in Starship Troopers as Breckenridge. He was in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Was in Crimson Tide as Benefield. Great movie. One of my favorite Gene Hackman films. Did a lot of stuff in the 90s following this. In the 80s, he was on Head of the Class, did a little stint on War of the Worlds TV show, which was not a good show. I watch a lot of War of the Worlds. I know bad TV. He was Big John in Can't Buy Me Love. Yeah. I like that guy. He was good in this film.
Yeah, this is the difference I was thinking about when I was reading about a lot of the stuff. That's what it's so frustrating right now that I don't have more time between when I get to watch and get to research and try to find trivia and things that other people wouldn't know, like us finding out about that one porn actor making a copy of his penis to give to one of the actors, from what was it, Boondock Saints?
Yep.
Little things like that most people don't know about. I just love digging that kind of stuff up, but I haven't been able to do that. But the fact that that they were using how many storyboards that they made just for this movie.
400.
Because yeah, I mean, that's a lot because I've been on lots of different sets and they have their storyboard there and it's got a few things here and there on it. And a lot of it's like printed out and taped on there now. It's like they're getting less and less to where you have actual people drawing out stuff of what the vision that they have and how they want to see it come together. On the camera type thing. And I just think that's sad. I'm seeing little bits of what people used to go through, like what you saw. Remember, we talked about this a lot when they made the movie The Thing. right? They had such a little amount of money that a lot of the stuff they came up with was just stuff that they just threw together because they didn't have the money to actually do it. But like the plastic bag melting in the background behind a light to make the thing, it looked dripping and stuff, just little stuff like that, or the models that they build, to burn up or have an asteroid drop on it and things like that. Just the hands-on work that a lot of the set designers and stuff like that would do, and people looking for locations. I don't know. I'm just worried that it's all going to go down to they let the AI do all of it, instead of having interaction between people making those types of decisions. I'm just hoping that we don't go down that route, because I think it's going to hurt us in the long run to getting good movies, ones that leave an impression on you, like Wind River, movies like that. And this movie, I mean, it made a big impact on a lot of people. And I don't think it was just because it had, bugs and it had a bunch of explosions and stuff. I think a lot of the story behind how they were going to achieve these certain goals, and watching the story arc between all the characters and how they evolved over that and became heroes on their own, simply because of their drive of what they really wanted in their life. And it changed a little as they went along, right? And that's what I remember, personally. What sticks out to me is, where did this character start out at and where did they end? Even the teacher, the Michael Ironside, or is that what his name is again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. His character, you see him, he's a teacher. He's kind of rude, obnoxious, trying to get the kids to listen. But, they're in high school or college. I can't remember for sure. But, it's a hard age to get to pay attention if they're not already programmed or whatever, like in like a military school or something like that. But I loved him because you see him and then he stands out and then he puts his stump on Richard's shoulder, and she just looks up at him like it's no big deal. It was just really, really well done. This whole thing with the classroom and the way that the students were not paying attention, but listening, kind of listening, but not really involved in what he's trying to teach them. And to him, it's important because he's trying to teach them a life skill experience, and the students don't look at it that way because they're kids, and all kids, all they think about is I can't wait till I'm a grown-up. I can't wait till I'm a grown-up. I can't wait till I get out from under these people. That's, we all think that. And then once we're an adult, we have to start paying our own bills. We're like, damn, I wish I could move back home and not have to worry about this crap. So real life is harder than most people think. And that's what I liked about these characters. Their interactions with each other, and their different points of view on what they wanted for the future. Even though they hung out together all the time and they did things together, they all wanted different things, and that's reality. So it had a lot of things that any person at different ages would be attracted to for the different characters. And there were so many good characters in this. I just liked, even like I said, Richard's character, I thought was like, I could see 5 or 6 different people playing her in this movie, and it would have been, probably might have even been better, right? But for some reason, they wanted her. Okay, so either knew the right people or did the right things to get that part. But like Ironside's character, I don't know. I don't know if there could have been someone else that played a couple of characters in this. Doogie Howser, whatever his name is, I'm sorry, that's what I remember him as. His character, he did a phenomenal job playing that character. So I don't know if I could really picture someone else playing that person. So I don't know. It's just sometimes hard, especially when you're, depending on your age and how the movie influences you personally by what you're going through at the time when you get to see it, or who you see it with, different things like that all affect your thought process of what you feel about the movie when you leave too, when you leave the theater. And I just thought they were phenomenal with their character arcs. So the script was really good about pushing you along with them to the end of their arc. And when they died, like I said, I cried a couple times in this movie. People might laugh at because it was 27 years old. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
but I still got emotional because I cared about the characters. And that's what is important about entertainment. Any book that you read or TV show that you watch or movie that you watch, even Broadway, a play, if you don't care about the characters, you're not gonna give a shit. It's not entertainment. It's just like, oh, this is boring. When's it going to be over? But when you get to watch something and you get pulled into it and you actually give a shit about whether they die or whether they achieve their goals or whether they fall in love and run away together, all those things are supposed to happen to pull you into this movie or that whatever's happening to make you want to care about the characters. And I think they did a phenomenal job at doing that with all of them, all the major characters in this movie. I felt like that, and especially when he was taking those lashes. That was heartbreaking for me because I knew and you knew, the people watching, that he didn't mean for that to happen, and he wasn't thinking about it. And who else was thinking about it? I wasn't even thinking about when he was trying to help the guy with his hat, because he was trying to save him. He was trying to help the other people where he wouldn't endanger people's lives because his helmet didn't fit right, which he should have done before they went into battle, but they didn't.
Yeah, that entire part where they're in the war game and he starts complaining about his helmet.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people in paintball tournaments and they start trying to fiddle with their safety equipment right there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple refs in Chatham, Illinois that used to just stop the match and ask for 3 seconds. Like, can you get it fixed within the next 3 seconds? If you can't, either deal with it or walk off the fucking field. Mm-hmm. And that's what used to happen quite a bit at the Battlegrounds, part of Battlegrounds game store off of Wabash in Illinois. Some of you guys that are fans of Troller games know that. This is a still, by the way, of Brenda Strong. She's the ship captain that gets cut in half in the first movie. And this is a still from her and early in her career in 1986. I just figured
she was the Denise Richards mentor or whatever. Yep. The one that was one that died on the floor.
Yep.
When he came over. Okay. That actress. That was
cut in half by the door. This is her on an old show called Sledgehammer, one of the early great crime comedy movies.
Well, she looks fun. She looks like she probably was a lot of fun to be with on set. But what was it? Oh, I was going to say what it says. Hardwiki.
Yes.
Posted. Did you see that? I thought that was pretty good because of my comment about Denise Richards. Because just like I said, this is the only thing I remember seeing her in where she actually thought she was pretty believable for her part. Someone who's swooning, getting guys to swoon over her, and she's wants to be a pilot really bad. But that was hard for me to really absorb because they didn't really put anything in her personality to make you believe that she was smart enough to be a pilot. I mean, besides her test score, that they announced up on the big screen for everybody to see.
But I've met plenty of people that can't hold a conversation that can do good at math. She plays a scientist in the James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough. She's not very convincing, according to Hardwick and many other men, but we still watch that movie. We still do. And
well, what does most men watch 007 movies for? They watch it for the gunfights or whatever, and for the hot babes. I mean, every guy I talked to, I was like, yeah, she was hot. This girl was hot, or whatever her name was.
There's very few Bond girls that I will watch a Bond movie for twice.
What was the name of the one actress that was able to crush men with her thighs? She was in one of X-Men's, right?
On the top, and
yeah, but the actress.
Oh, the actress is that miserable Jean Grey from.
Yeah, but she was very beautiful. She was a beautiful woman, and her character in that movie I thought was really good. To be able to.
That's the most interesting part about GoldenEye.
But to get a man in a position where she has total control over him, where he's not thinking about anything besides his other head, basically, and a woman that's able to get a man in that position, like Black Widow, right? she's using what she's been given by God to manipulate the men to get them to do certain things, so she could kill them or whatever. And I just thought she was really good at it in that movie. And the fact that Denise Richards' character in this could have done the same thing if she was supposed to be some kind of spy or whatever, to be able to get all these guys, because she has a beautiful smile and beautiful eyes and beautiful hair or whatever. And the other girls, well, I didn't see her tits in this movie, so
No,
I don't know.
But you can see evidence they're there.
Well, yeah. I mean, what girl doesn't have boobs, even if they're little? I've done a couple videos, and I've had guys comment saying, "Yeah, your coconuts are really nice, but I prefer plums." So you can't please everyone. There's always going to be someone out there that doesn't like that you have an hourglass figure, or that your hair is brown, or your eyes are blue. They like green eyes and red hair more. It's just there. You cannot constantly worry about whether you're going to fit in or get the right person for this part. That's why the director is always right. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. If the director doesn't like you because you look like his ex-wife, or he doesn't like the way you walk or something, it doesn't matter. He'll just say, leave, get the person off my set, because the director's always right no matter what. So we don't see the vision he has, or she. We just have to wait to see it when it comes out at the theater at the end. Unless editing destroys it for some reason or whatever, because I have seen movies that were devastated by editing, and the director didn't get to see his dream come true, basically, when that happens. But the director in this movie, I feel like, could see what they wanted, and they had the right people around them to be able to do it. So even though I don't think, she was very good actress, everything else was so good, it made her look good. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely what I feel like around. I mean, she was surrounded by good actors, awesome special effects, great scenery, everything, and her hair was never out of place. She always looked perfect. You know what I mean? So it was good. I mean, I thought the people involved in that part of it did a really good job for her, to help her. Because just like I said, I was impressed. I thought that, considering what I've seen her in before, that this was the best acting I've ever seen her perform, personally, for myself. My point of view.
One of the funny parts, aside from Janet ranting about how much she does not like Denise Richards, which I can concur. I'm not a big fan of her either, but
no, I think she's gorgeous. I think she's beautiful, but I don't think for some of the parts that she was able to get, I just didn't think her acting ability was what got her that part, for sure. I just don't think that's what it was.
I find that this movie has so many parts that I come back to, and it isn't the bug fight scenes. The bug fight scenes are great. They're special effects extravaganzas. The scene where you see the bombers come over the valley with all the bugs underneath. If you watch Death from Above, they show you all the ship scenes and how they filmed all the explosions on Planet Side like that. There's a couple other making of featurettes that are out there that, if you love this movie, you've already seen them. It's a 24-year-old film. 27-year-old film. You've seen this stuff, but this has some really, really interesting how they made it, why they made it, what they did. And I think as a film, this movie succeeds on a lot of levels. There's very few things it doesn't succeed on. If you ignore the book, which you really shouldn't, you do have that.
So I can't compare it.
They're supposed to be in power armor. They're supposed to be in power armor, Janet. They're supposed to be in these giant cylindrical pods where they're already tucked into the cockpit of their power armor, and they're thumped out of the side.
You mean kind of like what in the movie Alien, when Sigourney Weaver got in that giant thing, was walking around, kind of something like that, really strong and powerful. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Skeleton like that. And they're supposed to be like, there's some really cool weapons they have. Like, one of them is they have when Rico is in the book and He's doing a raid on Skinnies in repayment for the Skinnies to give the information of where the Earth is. They send the mobile infantry to one of the Skinnies locations, either their home planet or one of their outposts. And Rico drops his hand down as he's gunning down through a few bulkheads, and he grabs a grenade and he arms a grenade and he throws it. And the grenade, when he throws it, he kind of smiles because the grenade starts saying things as it goes through the air. It says, "I'm a 30-second bomb. I'm a 29-second bomb. I'm a 28-second bomb." And it does all these things. And Rico's like, "Well, fuck it. I'm just going to, reload this clip and get out of here. I'll let the bomb take care of it. Fuck it. And there's so many cool things in the book that are well worth reading. And yes, if you are a fan of the book, if you are a diehard fan, this movie really does about half the justice that you want it to. The special effects for the ships and the bugs are cool, but you're missing power armor, you're missing Skinnies. But that's okay, because what they did manage to cram into 2 hours and 9 minutes is a very fun story filled with some a couple love triangles, which are really not going to help out much, because in the end, the same three kids that slap hands together are the same three kids that slap hands together.
Well, you don't know that, though. I didn't know that was going to happen.
You don't the first time, but if you watch this 7 times, like some of us have,
it was definitely a good movie. It was very, very good. I mean, I watched the whole thing from beginning to end, and I loved the characters, because I cried. I cried and I cheered when they were successful and stuff like that. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be emotional and get drawn in if it's a good movie, if it's made right. You can't help but care about some of them. You want to hate the bad guy and you want to love the people you're supposed to love. And if they do a good job, you're going to.
The funny thing is that the test audiences hated 2 parts of the movie. They hated the part where I think it's John Davidson is made up, and he just looked at a dead dog and he says, "The only good bug is a dead bug." And that's like, everybody's like, "Oh my God, they killed a dog." American audiences can't handle dead dogs on screen at all. You fucking touch Old Yeller and we go ape shit.
Well, everybody knows you can't kill an animal just to make a movie. Even a deer isn't killed to be put in the movie to look like you killed it.
We're gonna have to watch The Man from Snowy River, and I'll let you decide. But
okay, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. There's another part of this movie where the test audiences were absolutely furious about. The very end, when the 3 of them were walking, you got Neil Patrick Harris, Denise Richards, Casper Van Diem walking, and fucking Denise Richards says, "I just feel that when we're all 3 together, nothing can hurt us." And people were pissed because they wanted her to die. Fuck it, bring Dizzy back. God damn it. Why did you give us this, Paul? You fucked us, Paul, out of a good fucking movie. And there were people that, when I went to see this on opening night, there were people that were like throwing popcorn at the screen because they were so fucking pissed. It was great.
See, I thought when I started watching it and I saw more and more and more about how everybody's fawning over her and stuff, that I go, but she's the only one that's going to be left alive at the end.
Yes.
Because that's what I was thinking. Because whoever put her in this movie wanted her. They were, really loved her, or she had done some special stuff or something. I don't know. It's almost like they wrote the script just for her or something, that part. It's specifically for that actress. And I didn't think that she was that good. But one thing that bothered me was the scene where Rico shoots that like nuke or whatever, that huge bomb, and it goes down the tunnel. Right. And then you see it blow up and the ripples the ground, and the special effects were freaking awesome for that whole scene. But then later, when they go in there with the Denise Richards, they're trapped underground, that scene, they don't do that. Even though when they take the they're going to get that big fat blob thing that reminded me of the movie The Slurm. Remember the Slurm worm? from
Yes.
Futurama. That's what it reminded me of. It was disgusting like that. Remember, I told you, oh my God, that's disgusting to see people sucking that stuff up like it was going out of style. Ugh, this is so gross. But that's what it reminded me of. That creature did. But I was just waiting for them to do that again. I was like, why are they not blowing up the tunnel? They got the thing out. Now they can keep the rest of them from coming out, but they didn't. So there was little things like that. I kept waiting for it to happen, but it didn't happen. It was like the bugs only attacked at certain times or something. They're overwhelmed with millions of bugs. And then at certain times where they're together and there's very few of them and it's very vulnerable situation, no bugs would come. So I don't know. I just thought just little things like that really irritated me about
If
this movie.
if they just would have had some way to reduce the bug pile at the outpost and knock the bug pile down, the bugs wouldn't have been able to get up and over the wall so easily, and they would have been able to retain their positions on the wall, gunning down at an angle into the thinner carapaces of said bugs. Which
And that other part where they're all shooting, after that guy gets grabbed and taken off, and they just start shooting their guns and shooting their guns. It's like, and then they're running out of bullets. I'm like, why'd they all go charging forward when they knew that after they shot so much, they were going to have no bullets? Where's the bombs now? I don't know. It took a lot of the little things when it came to the tactical parts of the actual battle stuff. It just seemed like there was gaps. So those little gaps for me that took me out of the story, because I'm thinking, well, why would they do that? These are supposed to be trained people. Why would their uppers let them go in there without enough ammo?
Okay, my big problem is that Neil Patrick Harris, in the start of the movie, they introduce a cow. They introduce a cow into a cage with a bug, which now the cow is obviously not aware there's going to be CGI and it doesn't act that panicked. But then they show the bug and they have the big censored blurb and you see all the blood being sprayed everywhere. Neil Patrick Harris is like, if you blow off a limb of an arachnid, it retains 87% of its functionality and deadliness. Aim for the nerve stem instead. And apparently they don't show that to kids in mobile infantry boot camp, because like one half to 2/3 of the movie is 8 people gather around a bug and put half a clip into it, and they're walking around in like this slow procession as the bug is like they're staggering, and then finally after it gets killed, it does one last death throw maneuver where it flings a jaw or a shard or a sharp piece of shell and it impales somebody, and then like now it's dead. It killed one of your guys. It took 12 of you to kill it, but you're good. You're good, guys. You're only down to 11 now. You only have 40 bazillion bugs left to kill. No wonder we were going to lose that fucking war. And as a dungeon master, I really appreciate some of the lack of knowledge that the characters seem to retain from scene to scene. But they obviously did not see Neil Patrick Harris gun down a bug effortlessly after it was satiated on a cow. I don't get it.
And plus the ending part of him showing up at the end, it made me kind of like, what? I just thought that was too plain as the nose on your face. Was when he was talking about being picked for the psycho part, to go into psychological warfare stuff. And then the fact that they're all talking about, the bugs, using, they're smarter than we thought and all this kind of stuff. It was like I don't know. Some of it was really obvious about what was going to happen next. And then other parts, it was like, you were like, why didn't they show this? Or, I don't know. It was kind of a little bit jumbled here and there. Now I'd have to go back and watch it again to see whether or not a lot of these things happen more because of the editing or not. Because I really didn't look at it that way, because I was trying to absorb, because there's a lot of information packed in this movie for someone who's never seen it. And I wanted to, really watch it and have a feel for the characters, because I did. And I really liked that. But there was a lot of little things like that were interesting to me about how obvious a lot of it was, like I thought at first when you started seeing these people, when the kids were signing up to join, to become citizens or whatever, and go to their different areas, to be able to fight the war. And then seeing like I said, the woman with the scar on her face, and then him having an arm gone, and the other guy that was at the chair, him having no legs, and him realizing that, he's probably might not come back because he's in infantry now, things like that. I really enjoyed all that because I thought that it kind of gave you as a military brat. I know lots of people because I would go with my dad a lot to the after thing. I think it was the Legion Hut or something. Is that what they call it? I don't remember exactly. But he would go there and he did a lot of paperwork and stuff. And he would send out a newsletter, things like that. When he was working at his other job because he'd gotten out of the military. And I remember going with him to do those things and getting to meet them. And I'd play dominoes and fix coffee for some of them. So even though I didn't work there or anything, just because I just was trying to help my dad and and say, I'm a lady, I listen to my dad and not speak unless I was spoken to, all those things. I tried to do all that. It's really not easy for me, believe it or not. But it's easy when you're sitting amongst a bunch of really old guys and they're playing cards and dominoes and stuff. And you just want to listen to some of their neat stories that they're telling you. You can learn a lot if you ever volunteer to go to a place like that and just sit and listen to some of these guys. You can hear some really cool, really neat stories from some of these gentlemen and ladies, because there was a few here and there that were in the military too. But I just loved it. I was so lucky. I really was a lucky kid to get to go do some of these things with my dad and get to learn a lot about how we need to take good care of our veterans. I'm one of those. I'm really big into that. But that was one of the things that I liked about this part of the movie was the fact that they used a lot of people to portray the veterans, basically people who had been there and done that. And now they want the new generations to understand what it means for the future by you dedicating yourself to keeping, like you said, what was it? He said, I'm fighting for the species, basically. Because it wasn't like a branch of military or anything. These were all people from around the world that were dedicating their lives to go and fight and try to keep the human race afloat, basically. And I liked that. I thought that was really good. I liked the fact that they put the veterans up above others, and let them shine a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased about that, but I really enjoy that part of the story.
Well,
Maybe
it remains in both the book and in the movie fairly well. The world survived to this point because the veterans literally got tired of politics as usual, and they created the society out of basically what was not sustainable. Heinlein, because sort of Pupus Cuber knew this beforehand. I don't know how, but he said Heinlein is pretty unapologetic about his opinions, and I find it refreshing. The book's federal service could be a lot of different things, not just military. Like there were like federal jobs for scientists, for public educators, but like the easiest way to get into those jobs were through the military, having that decorum of like, hey, I served, let me have this job as a teacher or as a driving instructor or somebody who does flight work. You have that's espoused all throughout the book. They have no qualms about that. And whenever they did the Avalon Hill board game, which now I'm reaching back into the late 60s, I think, whenever I remember reading this, not in the 60s, I read this back in like 98, 99, somewhere around there, because we had a nice game store that people would bring in their older stuff and they'd play. And like, wait, you've got the fucking second printing of the skinnies and the big power mech bots that the humans had, and you've got the bug. Oh wow, dude, let me see this. And it was a garbage game. It was wonderful, but it does not have the same quality components as you see here. You had little cardboard chits, and you'd have little numbers on the cardboard chits, but you would push around like a battle mat, and that was about it. But Heinlein was asked about the world, and so he did throw some more lore at the media at the time to help describe various things for things like the board game or such like that. And it was a very, very well thought out, but yet I could use more Starship Troopers media if they could keep it Starship Troopers, as long as it doesn't go Disney Plus Starship Troopers. I'd be fine. I just never want to see one of my other favorite franchises I watched in my 20s or teens turn into this pile of shit that we have today that everybody's like, well, I've got Disney Plus because I've got kids. Well, you know what? Fuck you, because your kids are idiots and you're just making them dumber, okay? By letting them watch that.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'm not going to say anything. I have Amazon Prime, so I'm not going to. And I know think
I
that
have
about
Amazon Prime too. I just haven't installed it. I haven't put it on my phone. I haven't watched anything.
Well, I got it when Yellowstone first came out, and whatever the other one is that The Boys was on, I have that too. Unless it might be the same thing. I don't know.
I watched Amazon back 4 years ago. Whenever they first were doing The Expanse season 5 and 6.
Oh yeah, The Expanse. I remember watching that. But see, we're all simps to something.
Yeah,
see,
but
none of us are perfect. The only ones of us that unplug everything, pack up your stuff, and you go live in the woods.
You're the only one that's done that so far.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying I haven't done that. I moved.
You live in the woods. You live out.
I know, but I still have electricity and I have the internet. I'm not completely unplugged from the grid. But what I'm saying, the only people that have the right to say, you guys are all idiots, really is the person that's unplugged everything. And this,
I would love
taxes
if I could do this and like, not have to worry about other things like, other media. Like, yeah, I give money to Google for YouTube Premium and for my internet because it's fiber internet and it's really good and fast and reliable. It's the best choice around where I live. I don't like Google for the fact that they pretty much are a bunch of socialists and I'm at political odds with them.
Yeah, I feel that way about YouTube.
it's either that or I give money to Time Warner Spectrum, which they deliver the same product but at a less reliable rate.
Yeah.
Why would I? Fine, I'll take the best service I can get, even if it's not what I want to give my money to, because I know at some point there's going to be a blue-haired kid that comes up. My name is blah blah, and my pronouns are, and you help pay for my education. Thanks for you paying for Google. Fuck you. Fuck you.
But see, that's why it's going to be really hard when real shit really happens, like what happened in Germany or anything like that. When you're invaded by another country or you're really at war and you got bombs going off and you don't have any electricity and the food chain's gone. Now you got to scrounge around for food. When all that real stuff like that ever does happen, that's when you're going to see the worst of everyone, because people will snap and do things against humanity, basically, when you're hungry or when you're thirsty. I mean, you can go weeks, some people, depending on your size, without food, but you can't go but 4 days without water, and you will die. Yeah, so a lot of people just have never been confronted with anything like that. Like there was a documentary. I remember, I think I mentioned this before. There was a woman they found in the woods. She had got separated from her group of people that she was with. I think they were camping. It was like a group, like, cousins and, aunts and uncles and all that. And she got separated and she got lost, and they were trying to find her. She just kept getting farther and farther away, but she'd went like 5 or 6 days, and she was so dehydrated she couldn't open her hands. It was like just shriveled up really bad. And they asked her, why you didn't drink water? He said there was streams and little creeks and little ponds and stuff, because they were out looking for her. And she goes, I didn't have a cup. So he's like, I don't know how we're going to survive, honestly, if you think about it. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to survive, not because other people killed them or beat them to death or anything. It's because they're just going to die because of that, because they're not prepared to scrounge around and get food. I mean, how many people do you know personally that would get in a garbage can and get something to eat out of it? If it came down to it, that's the only place you're going to get anything. And it's been a week since you've eaten. See, I could eat grass, I could eat bark, I could eat a couple bugs, things like that, and I would eat it because I know that's the only way I would survive, But there's lots of plants on the side of the road that can kill you if you eat them. Grandma's lace. There's tons of little things that just grow wild out there. But if you eat enough of it, you won't live. You'll just fall asleep and never wake up. So, I mean, I'm just saying, but that's what you do. Like this movie pushes the envelope of what are you willing to do to keep us alive, to help our planet, to keep these bugs from coming and killing and wiping out our race, our species, and that's why I thought the propaganda commercials and stuff were really, really cool. And they added a little punch to the story because it kept you pumped up, wanting to root for the warriors. The people we need. That we need pilots and we need fighters and we need doctors and we need scientists. We need all these people to work together so that we can save our species. Because one day there won't be any humans if we don't fight back and stop these bugs. And the fact that we find out later that that they're also doing science studies on us to see if they can wipe us out, just like we were trying to do with them. So I just thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good point of view that I wasn't expecting.
And one thing that needs to be stated is that Heinlein was not a fascist. He's more libertarian, and he really doesn't appreciate conscription. He doesn't appreciate the idea of forced servitude. These kids give it over as just like, I'm going to be an adult. This is where I can go. This is what I can do to not suck and have a limited skill set. Because let's face it, when you're in school, you do have a limited skill set. You might be all right with Nintendo, or you might be able to do some things, but you're not 8 hours a day, balls deep, and changing oil and figuring out how to get a busted starter to mend itself, or if you have to replace the entire thing, maybe it's just a solenoid somewhere. You don't know that you're a kid. And so this is one of those things that real life helped shape this wonderful movie. And Neumeier and Verhoeven didn't really get everything in the book. They did what they could, but they have a problem because of geographical bigotry. No offense, but I mean, when you're from Germany reading a book written about the Cold War in America and how we can actually come out of it ahead, they didn't have the mindset to approach it right. And I hate to say that, but they still gave us a movie that I've watched over 70 times.
And see, that was it. What you just said made me think of something else. That was one of the things that I had a little bit of trouble with. Remember when you watched the Hunger Games? All the people knew the sacrifice that you were about to make when you're chosen to go, right? To fight, to survive, and be the only one that survives out of this group of people that are chosen. And she doesn't want her little sister to go because she's sacrificing herself so that she can take her sister's place, that type of thing. Okay. Because you grow up seeing this happening year after year after year. So I was expecting to see more of that when they went to the camp, right? Because he's a rich kid. His parents don't want him to go. He doesn't have to make that decision because they've lived a really good life, even though the supposedly, these asteroids have been coming, all this stuff with infested with these bugs and all these different things for because I can't remember, it was a year earlier or something like that. So from the very beginning that we were watching about what had happened with that guy on the planet that was live on TV when he got eaten by the bugs. The thing is that that's the difference that you have in the way you're raised, like I was talking about. If you're poor, okay, your outlook and your choices of what's going to happen to you in your future are bleaker than someone who's never has to do anything. Their mom and dad provides everything. They just hang out and play video games, hang out with their friends. They wear the nicest clothes. They get to go out to eat. They got all these things that other kids that would never even fathom what that's like, So to me, you didn't see a lot of that. You didn't see a lot of people who had nothing, they grew up with nothing, involved in a lot of the upper parts of this, all the actors in this, considering from what little bit I've been listening to you about the writer of the book, the actual book, you would think they would have a lot more of that in it. To me, is what I was expecting from listening to a little bit of what you Six Nations, and I think it Kai that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking a little bit about it. So there was a few people in there, but I was expecting it to be a little more that way, kind of like Hunger Games, with the more people that grew up without wanting to be put in and try to see what they could come out with, to better their chances of survival, of not being totally wiped out by these insects. So just little things like that I had later when I thought about it, I probably would have had a whole bunch more than that if I was waiting until tomorrow night to do this review and talk about it. So a lot of things are popping in my head because of things that you might say or someone in the chat would say that normally I would just talk and listen, but have 24 hours to think about it, to come up with some more stuff to look up or read about, because something will pop in my head and I'm like, I'm going to look at that up because that doesn't make any sense or something. I don't know. You know how I am. Really bad.
And this is one of the more, I guess you'd say, more mainstream books that Heinlein does because in modern parlance, because Stranger in a Strange Land is very much about a live and let live mindset, more hippie style lifestyle, as Hardwick says, with free love. And then Time Enough for Love is about justifying incest, but at the same time, there are periods of time in a developing area where incest is going to be the only option. And I hate to say that, but like you have areas like on border communities back in the early days of Western civilization where you didn't have choices of like, oh, she's the prettiest girl in town, you should really get big and buff and you'll be able to woo her, you can court her next year. No, you're fucking your cousin, because like your mom, your dad's brother, and your mom's sister all moved out to this area, and all you've got is your cousins until like a generation and a half from now, 30 years from now, you're going to have like options move in the area, but you're not going to wait to have kids. You need somebody to help you with a farm. So you're probably going to go with your cousin's kid, and you're probably not going to enjoy the results. But in a generation or two, you can start getting more people in the area and start actually getting some actual diversity. It's not straight line family trees. So that happens. And I hate to say that, but Time Enough for Love is really it's not a horrible book. It's just a book that you have to have the mindset of somebody that wasn't living in 2024 when you read it. And that's a big problem with a lot of today's discussions. We all stand in 2024 when we go, how dare they, or what were they thinking? Well, they didn't have much. They didn't have what we have now. Keep that in mind. Outlook bleaker when poor. Check's bank account can't confirm. I agree. I get it.
For some.
And while you're at it, go subscribe to Mage's Musings right now. He's a fun little creator. He does some great stuff, and he's got some good people around him. He puts together some fun panels, and he talks a lot about first edition D&D and good games nowadays, like Old School Essentials, which deals with classic fantasy. I would completely recommend. He has a community of folks that he has. If you like Hunger the Starvarian on panels, you want to subscribe to Mage's Musings. And while you're at it, subscribe to Hungar the Starvarian, because he's a very good man of culture.
See, that's one thing I can definitely say. I've been around a lot of people. I've been around people with money. I've hung around with people with money, and I've hung around with people that, flip burgers for a living, people that sweep the streets in New Orleans, all, and I like to talk, as you guys know. So that's what I do. I bump into people and I just start talking to them to find out things about them, or, the city that I'm visiting or whatever. So, I that's just me. I felt so bad if you go back and think about my parents, how they survived with 5 daughters, just constantly blah, 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 just going on. And Bruce, you survived a night with me and 2 of my sisters, and we never stopped talking. I don't know why, why we are the way we are, but we are. But the thing is that you learn a lot if you do ask questions. If you're not afraid to ask questions, you're going to probably get answers you don't want to hear. But we need to be more inquisitive about what's going on around us. I see so many people that seem that they walk around like a deer in headlights all the time because they're like, they don't know what's going on. They don't understand what's going on. But instead of asking someone, they just turn and walk off. That they don't want to know anything new. I don't understand that. So it's sad to me because I feel sorry for those people, the ones that are afraid to talk to people or reach out to meet new people. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to understand that because I'm nothing like that. So yeah, I love that. That's my favorite shirt, the one with the afro from his high school picture.
This one here is going to be the next one I procure. I might get that today.
What is it? Oh, it's him looking up her dress.
Yeah, it's Hungar being Hungar. I mean,
yeah.
Why would you not want that? I mean, you got all these babes around Hungar, fit as a fiddle man that he is.
It's so
and by the way, this is the reason why you want to get this is that right now it's at $16. If you're fat like me, it's $17. Okay, no big deal. And $17, it'll come out to about $25. But they've got a price increase in 10 hours. So right now you got 35% off site wide. Go get yourself a shirt from Hungar. And just to placate Janet, she loves.
I just love that one. Every time you wear it, I just think it's so funny. And the other one, that one, and your other one about who pooped my pants or whatever. Those are my two favorite shirts that you wear. Oh, you're wearing it today? I just love that. I think it's so funny. I want to get one of those and wear it around town.
You got some stuff coming. You got some things coming to your home.
Yeah, so. I need to wear that shirt and then put my GoPro on it and see people's reactions as they're walking up to me. Now I did that one time when I was in Vegas. I had a shirt with it was a what's his name? Damn it! Now I went blank. I do that all the time because I get too excited about it. But it was a I can't remember. One that pops back in my head, I'll say it. But I had a shirt that I wore in Vegas, and people were stopping and taking their picture with me because they thought my shirt was great. Had Bill Murray on it. That's what it was. You know, him doing the because he worked for that brother and sister that started their own business that made millions and millions of dollars, and he would do their shirts.
Nice.
I can't remember the name of the business right this second. It was Mind the Gap. Was one of the things they did. What was the name of that group?
Can't remember the name of it.
Business. See, I just went blank. I was like in my head, and it's
okay. I mean, we're not going to remember everything we're able to hear and be told.
But I love that. I have like 3 or 4 of their shirts, and whenever I wear the Bill Murray one, I always get people who want to take their picture with me with that shirt. I love Bill Murray. Bill fucking Murray. You know, they all do that. So
yes, understandable. Yeah, there is a viewer discretion that we have to prevent unwanted pregnancies. If you are wearing a shirt from Hungar the Starbarian, or if, like, say, Mage's Musings gives you a shirt, or if you're wearing a shirt with Janet's face on it, then
I don't have anything like that.
You're probably going to have more sex than what you can handle. And I'm speaking from a medical perspective. Have fun.
Well, it doesn't work for me.
Oh, that's because you're you and you have your shirt on. So you need to.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't have people coming up wanting to jump my bones all the time. So
if you lived in India, you would have plenty of men.
Well, I get that, but doesn't everybody get that? You know, that's different. Those are like bots or scammers and stuff. I'm talking about real people. You know, people. Someone said something. You must get hit on all the time when you go to the gym, and I went, no, I'm wearing like, you know, a big baggy shirt and sometimes I wear, you know, sweatpants or whatever. And then all these girls come in, their makeup's perfect, and they're wearing their thong on the outside of their little, you know, leggings and stuff. Those are the girls that are getting hit up, but they're not there to sweat. I'm there to sweat. I look like a slob when I leave, but that's why I pay them. Why would I pay them and then go there just to walk around and be pretty? You know, it's just stupid. Doesn't make sense to me.
Sean, Mage's Musing says, I'm still a bit away from merch, but if my puppets lead to anybody getting laid, I will be completely jealous because they don't get me laid in any way, shape, or form. Um, I guess my perception of this guy is like he's just a Janet. Cover your ears. Cover your ears. People with kids in the room. The people that do puppet shows, like those are some pussy getting motherfuckers. They are the funniest people. Floral Under a Rock, Snow Dub, Mage's Musings. Those guys do some amazing stuff. And maybe they're not. Maybe they're not talking to women. Maybe literally they talk to their puppets so much they have time for nobody else. But in my head, like if you've got a puppet or mannequin, like when it comes time to throw down and like, hey, I'm I'm at the bar and the chicks are jockeying for me, and you break out that puppet and you start doing just your shtick, being a funny
Yeah, you can do a
person,
sock puppet, those are
just
funny.
even a sock puppet, like holy cow, like there would be people laughing their ass off, like get on that table over there, stand up and do this shit because this is funny.
Uh-huh.
And it's just my perspective. I know maybe I live in a different world than the rest of you, but y'all are some funny people. You're good people. And Mage, I don't know what the problem is, man. Maybe you just don't live around women that can appreciate somebody with a big, long, girthy intellect.
But remember, I got you to watch that movie, real, Lars and the real doll or real girl or whatever.
Lars
And
and the real girl.
and that was about sex dolls. So if you have enough money, you can get a really lifelike lady to dress up and have her waiting for you when you come home from work, so you won't be lonely.
If you have a sex doll, I don't want to know about it. I don't. That's
Well, I thought about it when I saw Denise Richards because I heard a rumor after they got divorced, when they were fighting or whatever in court over their kids, her and Charlie Sheen, that she had walked in and caught him with a doll, not a person, and then she looked just like her. So I don't know if it's true or not.
I'm willing to bet there was a better conversation coming out of the doll than there was out of Denise.
Probably, I don't know, but those dolls are. I mean, they make a lot of money off those dolls.
Sadly, Bruce, your theory is proving to be quite untrue thus far. In fact, it's had the opposite effect. One female friend of mine took a look at the wizard puppet and said, "No wonder you can't get a girlfriend." I don't know what to say because that makes me sad
She
on
went
so
out with
many
you.
levels.
If she went out with you on a date, then how did she go out with you if you had a wizard puppet? Why would she say that? It doesn't make any sense.
Like that just sounds mean. Like
Well, I thought that he showed it to me. I thought it was pretty cool. So, and the fact
John,
that he had lots of books and stuff.
I think a lot of us just like realize with friends like Janet, we've been hitting the wrong trees to pee on. And
Well, you got to remember, you haven't seen them exactly, but you saw a little bit of them, glimpses of them. I had a sister right above me and one right below me. Both of them were shorter than me and built like Mae West, basically, and blondes. So I'd bring home a date and they'd meet my sister and say, "Who's that?" I guess that's my sister. And then they wouldn't ask me out again because I was this tall, slim brunette. So I always lost all my dates and stuff to blondes.
Yeah, I always tell people to marry someone from south of the Mason-Dixon line because their standards are more realistic. They don't have these stupid ideas atypically. Don't go to Atlanta, Georgia with that mindset either, or Dallas, because Dallas and Atlanta are strange oases of very pretty but dumb people.
Well, it doesn't work anymore. You got to remember, so many people have left, like Washington State and moved to Texas. And you've had people from New York that's moved to Alabama. And you have people from Alabama that's moved to New York. So it's very diverse. It's spread up. You can't go by where they live anymore. You have to talk to them and actually have a conversation to find out what kind of person you're talking to. I had this one guy one time, he was telling me that he was having a hard time. He couldn't get a woman to, give him, call him back. He'd leave a message and they'd never call him back. And he was telling me he was on some apps, and I was like, well, I don't believe in apps and stuff. I think that being in person is the best thing, or at least video chatting with someone, things like that, to get to know someone, because you can see their facial expressions, things like that. But the thing is that I said, can I see your profile? Let me look at it, and I'll be honest with you. And he had all these great pictures and stuff, but they were all like different angles and stuff. But I looked at the profile, it had no height on it. So I was like, well, there's no height on there. So maybe they feel like when they meet you in person and you're shorter than them, that you kind of like fibbed to them, because you look tall by the way that you took your pictures at the gym. You look tall, so maybe that's, if I went out on a date and the guy was like to here, and all his picture made him look tall or whatever, then I probably would be saying, well, you kind of lied a little bit, because I'm 5'9". I don't want to date a guy that's 5 foot tall, or whatever. And I wouldn't have went out with him in the first place if I'd known he was that short.
Okay, I gotta ask. I have to ask this. What if the 5 foot tall dude was a real Chad? Like, when you first meet him, he's beating the stuffing out of two guys in a bar parking lot, and
if I bumped into him like at a club or a bar, and he danced with me and I started talking to him and stuff, that wouldn't even come across my mind how tall he was. I'm talking about someone who's on an app.
Okay.
Because when I meet someone and I like their personality and they're funny and stuff, I wouldn't even care if they're heavy or bald or whatever. To me, I'm not like that. I don't look at someone simply for their looks like most men do. I hate to say that, but most men I've ever met judge a woman almost simply if she doesn't pass this test, where she's got big tits or a nice ass, or she's tall, or she's got blonde hair, or whatever it is, then they don't even walk up to her and even get to know her. So, and I've seen them. Remember, I have had lots of guy friends in high school and everything. Half my friends were guys. So it's like, men judge women differently than women do men. That's why you'll see a lot of women that are very attractive or take care of themselves with guys that are short, fat, and bald, or, different things, that other people might think is not attractive, because most women don't judge a guy simply because he's got a dad bod, or because he's not tall, and the other thing that men constantly brag about the length of their ding dongs. Okay. I'm telling you right now, a woman doesn't look at a guy and say, oh man, look how big his package is, I'm going to date him. I've never met one woman that does that, unless she's a porn star or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just don't understand that some of this stuff that men have, because most women want to be treated like they're the only thing on the planet. If a guy tells me he picks flowers like dandelions and shit on the side of the road and brings them to me, I'm going to swoon over that, because that's something that he took out of his time to stop and think about me and pick them. Because you can't just grab, 5 flowers off the ground. You have to walk around and find them and put them together. I mean, it just takes time, and a little effort goes a long ways, I think, for a real woman who really wants a real relationship. If you're just wanting a one night stand, flash some bills, take her to dinner and buy her some whatever it is that she likes to drink, and then you can get laid. But if you're looking for a person that you want to maybe have a real relationship with, you got to spend a little time and effort to make her feel like she's special. That's why you're wanting to date her in the first place, So, that's my recommendation. At least I know that's what I like. I'd like someone to treat me, better than that bimbo standing at the bar with a miniskirt where you can see her ass cheeks hanging out from under her skirt, that kind of thing. So I don't know. That's just my point of view, though. Go ahead, Bruce. I won't interrupt this time. I hope.
On Loveline, Dr. Drew. So Janet, I'm going to ask the chat first off. I need to know your scores, guys. I need scores. I need to know, everybody, men and women, what your scores are for the movie Starship Troopers. You're the only person on the planet that had not seen this movie living in Western civilization.
It's impossible. That's impossible. There's other people I know that haven't, because I haven't even read the book.
Six Nations would like to take
Hey,
notes.
Six
Please,
Nations,
please,
you
please.
see me every 2 weeks when we play, and I constantly talk about this shit. So I know you know a lot of my crap that I talk about. I'm shocked that you guys still want me to play with you as much as I gab. So
No. Yesterday was funny because I think there was about an hour 45 that we spent on the 8 hours that were
I know, and
recorded
I'm so
time.
sorry. I hate that about
We
me.
were on every other topic other than the table in front of us, and that's okay because that's part of the gaming experience. Like if you don't talk about things outside a game, if you're just there for a game, you're in a society situation. Get out quick. But like this here, I mean, you're going to get to know people. You're going to get to know uh, all the various things they really enjoy, and you're going to have that. I think
Yes,
this
I'm gonna try to watch it after.
this
Sorry, I
movie
was
is
answering him.
such a powerhouse of like just nostalgia, and I'm going to go through the cast here because
Mhm.
I actually liked this movie on a lot of levels,
Me
even
too.
though the movie is not faithful to the book. You know
Well,
what?
my judgment has nothing to do with the book because I did not read it. I'm going simply on the enjoyment I received from watching this movie.
This guy, he's going to turn into like a classical Hollywood actor. During
Mhm.
this movie, he got mentored by Clancy Brown and Michael Ironside quite a bit. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of times he does movies now where he hears both of them giving him advice, or he's just like, it was incredible. This little sex pot is divorced from AIDS boy, and just keep your pecker away from it.
Has
This
she been in? What else has she been in? Is she done
Are
anything?
you serious? Like
Yeah,
she's in a lot of stuff. She's in Hunting Housewives. She was in The
I haven't seen it.
Housekeeper,
I haven't
My
seen that
Christmas
yet.
Fiance, The Bold and the Beautiful, which she was on until
I haven't seen
2022.
any of those, so that's probably why I just didn't know she was still acting or anything. But
She's
the other lady, she's probably been in a lot of stuff because I recognized her face.
Dinah
Yeah.
Meyer. I should have shared the tab, but here's Dinah Meyer. My favorite thing Dinah Meyer did is probably Starship Troopers, but she was good in Saw and Saw 2.
Yes,
I
now
like
I
her in
remember
Johnny
that.
Mnemonic. I really follow this actress a lot,
Yeah, she's
just for the
really
fact
good.
that she's good. She was in Blade Runner Revelations, which was a
Mhm.
game, which I watched some videos about that. I thought like, oh wow, I know that voice is Dinah. Um, she was on The Magicians for a few episodes as Stone Queen. She was on Starship Trooper Trader of Mars, where she played the same character.
Is that a game?
It's an animated show.
Okay, I haven't seen that. That's what I was asking.
Um, Dog Walker's Christmas Tale, which is kind of okay if you like Hallmark shows.
I haven't seen
Well, there was a while where I didn't watch her stuff. She was in Piranha 3D, which is a bad movie, but it's still watchable. She was on an episode of
it.
Castle.
NCIS. I think I've seen her on NCIS.
Yeah, she played Holly on that show.
Mhm.
She did an episode on Burn Notice, did an episode on Nip Tuck.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
She pays her rent on time. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
She was also on Saw 4. Let's see.
Yeah, she's very busy.
Yeah, she's a very busy. She was in 14 episodes of Birds
6
of
Feet
Prey.
Under. I used to love that show.
Yeah, she played the widow on an episode.
Yeah,
She
I love that show. Mhm.
did an episode on Outer Limits, which I watched. Deleted scenes of Starship Troopers, of course. She was in Dragonheart with Dennis Quaid, Johnny Mnemonic, the year before that, which I thought that movie was great. And I liked her character in that. She was pretty good character. She played in 90210, which I wouldn't recommend anybody watch that if you want to have a high T count. If you watch that shows, you got to go back to Janet's show and just like watch Janet do her shorts, and you'll raise your testosterone level.
Well, she's a good actress and she was pretty and she could act. She was believable. So I liked her. I loved her in this movie. I thought she did a great job.
Jake Busey, he was one of the highest
That's who he
character.
was.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Gary
I was
Busey's
like, I
kid.
know this guy, but I don't know him. You know what I mean?
Well, he was in, I believe, Wildcats, but he suffered heat stroke, and so they had to cut holes in his outfit in the desert because it was like 125 degrees that day,
Yeah.
and like 25 people a day were suffering from heat stroke there.
It's
So I mean,
awful.
it's Utah, I think, Utah or somewhere south in California. You have
Yeah.
that.
Clancy Brown. Isn't he the guy that was in the movie Wild Hogs? The cop? Was he the cop? No, he wasn't. He
He
wasn't the
was
same.
not the cop. You're talking about the guy from Scrubs.
Yeah, that guy. He's funny. But Clancy Brown was pretty good in this movie too.
Yeah,
I
he's
liked
great in this movie. Seth Gilliam was on The Wire, and he did some other stuff. He's on one of the Walking Dead's right now.
Yeah.
NPH, he's doing his thing. He's making money.
He's always good. He's just a good actor.
Pat Muldoon's first movie. He
Mhm.
was a television actor before this. Michael
Now,
Ironside, go ahead.
he was okay actor. I mean, I'm not saying he was the best or anything, but he was very, very good looking. So I can see why he would get picked for a lot of different jobs. Just like,
They
the
needed
women.
people to fit pretty. They needed to be pretty. That's what they needed. They wanted to have a movie with amazing, gorgeous, good-looking people that were just about as pretty as you could get
Mhm.
to help the society have its have that look it needed. A society ruled by scarred and disfigured vets that had seen wars and blood and violence,
Mhm.
and they were protecting these pretty Eloy from the horrors of the world around them and outside of it.
Yeah.
So you have Michael Ironside. He's been in everything under the sun. One of my favorite voice
I
actors
love
for the
him.
Splinter Cell series.
I
Top
loved him in
notch.
Scanners. That was one of my favorite movies he was in. I just loved him in
We're
that
going to be
movie.
watching that here probably in a couple months because I
But
haven't
he's
seen
just a good actor too. He's very good at portraying whatever character that he is. He's not the best at it. I mean, there are better ones, but he's
Yeah.
really good too.
You got Marshall Bell, who played General Owen. He was all right. Matt Levin played Kitten Smith. He's kind of thinned out since then, and he looks pretty handsome nowadays. Not no homo, but I mean the guy he got into a good fitness regime. Blake Lindsay played Katrina. You have Shujimi, who did he was Anthony Rivera. I think he was on Third Watch.
Yeah, I
Shujimi
didn't
was
watch
his
that.
name.
So.
Dean Norris, one of my favorite character actors, he was also in Total Recall. He had that huge scarring on his face, one of the father of the psychic. And then Mr. Rico was played by Chris Curry. And Brenda Strong played Captain Deladier, excuse me. And she's in everything. She's in the sequel. They give her a brunette wig, and she's in the sequel to this movie. I don't recommend you watch it, but is it fun? Yeah, it is. It's got some good stuff to it. This is a movie that if you like this, you'll enjoy Total Recall and RoboCop most definitely.
I've seen all of those movies. I've seen
Yeah.
all four of them, but I'd never seen this one. So it's kind of weird, isn't it?
The fact that you've seen all four of these but never this, that makes me sad. But I'm happy to break
I don't
that.
know why. It's just weird. I can't go back and think about what I was doing at that time. Why I didn't go to the movies and see it. I don't know.
Michael Ironside, a fellow Torontonian, and there's an interesting story about him being way underpaid on Scanners. I imagine that.
Yeah, you know what? It's very interesting how many great actors and singers have come from Canada. If you think about it, I'd like to look into that and find out how many of them there are, because there's quite a few.
So I'm going through here and starring the scores.
Oh, you don't want me to tell me mine?
I want you to tell me yours. I want to give it.
Okay, I'm giving it 8.5 stars out of 10.
I love Hank Schrader. He's good.
So
8.5 out of 10. That's reasonable. That really is. Mage's Musing says I give Starship Troopers a solid 7.5.
Well, I mean, I found some little flaws, like I mentioned. But overall, when you think about all the detail that went into the props, the sets, the costumes, the makeup, the CGI, I mean, just the editing. I'm thinking about all of this stuff that it took to get this movie and put it together, and to be able to make a profit. To have people leave and still want to watch it all these years later. I'm adding all that. This isn't like I just went to the movie theater and sat in the theater and watched it. I'm adding everything to it over time to give it this score, because it has been, it is a movie that it's still enjoyable to watch today, even though it's been 27 years.
Yeah.
I think it's a really very well done movie. It had good acting. It just was very well done. You can tell the love that the director had for this, to see this come to fruition. I can tell. That's all I can say.
Oh, I'm happy that you loved it as much as you did. I think this movie succeeds on so many aspects. And it lasted. It lasted till now. It's completely, just wrap your brain around it. It's got so much good to it. It has decent performances, has amazing special effects that hold up 27 years later. You've got a good story that they mostly keep most of it intact. Sorry to say they didn't keep everything intact like I wanted, but whatever. It does what it's supposed to do as a film. Is it an accurate recreation of the book? Not in the least bit. But if you're able to watch a movie, if you're able to enjoy yourself and sit back and just have fun, you're going to love this film. And I give this movie a 90 out of 100. This is one of the few films that's broached that.
That's really high for you.
Yeah.
But it is. It's a very well done action movie.
It is. Lady says I give it a 7.5 to 8. Yes.
I agree with everybody so far. I think everybody's scores is pretty good.
For me, an 8 or higher is one I will go out of my way to revisit. Yeah, I watch this movie a lot. I watch The Thing. I watch Escape from New York, and I watch Big Trouble in Little China. Still my favorite movie of all time. 98 out of 100. And that's like the most perfect film ever in existence. It does everything right that I want it to.
I love that movie. How many times do you think you've seen Big Trouble in Little China?
Easily over 150.
Let's see, I haven't seen my favorite movie that many times. I've seen it like 50 times, but I could still sit and watch it again tonight.
I've watched it a lot.
My favorite movie.
They have it on the internet at so many locations that if I just Google or Bing it, I can find it. And I've got copies of it for hard copy. I just don't have a DVD player right now, and I'm okay with that. It's a movie I can have no problem getting a hold of. And right now it's on Tubi for free. I recommend everybody, if you've never seen Big Trouble in Little China, to watch it and see if it's one of your favorite movies. That's a movie that it's the only one of the very few films I can say compares favorably to this. This is a movie that my father and I saw. I saw it twice in the theaters, the second time with my dad. And when we were there watching it, there were two guys in wheelchairs. Both of them had their Vietnam service jackets on. And they're like, for it being a movie, I guess it wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad. I'd like to fuck them girls. Another guy's like, yeah, but how you going to get your dick to be erect when you're sitting in a fucking wheelchair like that? No, fair enough. And then they got wheeled out of there by their caretakers because I guess they were part of some veterans home situation. And I thought that was really cool. My dad's like, did you see that? I said, yeah, I did. He's like, these do you know those guys? I said, no, I don't. He's like, those look like guys that I would find at your store playing Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer with you. Like, yeah, they kind of look like that, don't they, Dad? And he's like, come to think of it, and we're looking at the rest of everybody that's in there. It's nothing but 20 to 40-year-old men, all throughout Starship Troopers. Like the opening Saturday, because I saw it Thursday night, Friday morning, and went to go see it Saturday. That like 36 hours later, grabbed Dad. Let's go to Springfield. Let's go watch this. And he's like, that was a good movie. I liked it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then occasionally my dad wants to talk to me about it. So he's like, I have problems with that movie. I'm like, did you read the book? Yeah, I read the book. I've read the book 5 times. I'm
What
like,
is your dad's favorite movie?
probably the James Arness 1951, The Thing from Another World,
Oh,
or
okay.
God, what was it? I would say Star Trek 2. One of those two.
hmm
But anyway, for everyone that's here, next week, if you like what you see here, me and Janet do a weekly show on Sundays where we discuss movies. We've just watched it, and we're going to discuss it now. Next week, we go back in time to 1991 and watch the animated feature Rock-a-Doodle.
I haven't seen that one before.
Neither have I. That is a request, I believe, from Flatey, and we're going to watch Rock-a-Doodle and discuss that. And I've got some things to fill in, but Janet, I need to know.
Is Flatey going to join us?
Not aware.
Because if I think he's the one that picked it, right? So he should get to watch it.
Either Flatey or
join us, or Crafting Gamer. Was it Crafting Gamer?
Might have been Crafting Gamer.
Yeah, I think it was Crafting Gamer. So we need to make sure we find out so we can make sure we invite them.
Yes.
Be on the panel with us. See, it was Crafting Gamer. It was him. Now I remember. Yeah. So you're going to join us, right? You want to join us again?
Be more than happy to have you, sir.
I love it when the person that picks a movie gets to join us. I think it's great.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm looking forward to it.
I would I recommend everyone watch my favorite movie of all time. I think it's especially if you're American, to watch a movie about the only time we've ever rescued our POWs, and it was successful to rescue 500 men.
Well, I mean, if enough time passes by, Janet, people will mistake the Braddock movies for another incident. But hopefully we don't get to that point, because we're pretty close to Idiocracy right now. Janet, I also need a suggestion from you as well for our next movie. But
you want me to tell you which one I want to watch?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. Which one do you want to watch?
Ones that we already have listed up, or a new movie?
New movie.
Give me a second. I got a list. Let me look real quick.
Sure. Right now we have one movie for May set up, and that's Rock-a-Doodle. And then we have 2 movies set up for October. But that is the current state of everything as we speak. That's the question, whether there's no stuff.
Okay, there was 2 movies that I was thinking about, and I can't remember who I was talking to the other day. It might have been Six Nations or someone, because I talked to so many people. But I was saying, I want to watch a couple more musicals, but I'm going to wait a little while on that one, because I was going to say, I wanted to have to watch Grease, but I'm not going to do that to you yet. I want to watch Thelma and Louise. Oh, you hate me now?
Not yet.
Okay. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Well, it's a good movie.
Okay. So
I think it's got a lot of action in it, fights, stuff like that. But it's a good movie. It's very well made, I think. So we'll see.
Looking forward to this. My name is Bruce.
Got 2 attractive women.
I will say that in her younger years, Susan Sarandon could definitely get a guy to the dance floor. She was attractive, but I'm not a big fan of hers. I just find her boring, and
Gina Davis is hot too. You liked her in that other movie we did.
yes.
It's a good movie though. But I am gonna one of these days, and I also want to see Paint Your Wagon again. That's another musical. So I do have some other musicals lined up. But I won't put them all on you because you already did really good for me to watch Best Little Horse in Texas, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I love Blues Brothers. That's one of my very favorite musicals. And you did that with me too. So
Halicar, Mazes and Monsters is on the list of things to see.
Mhm.
It's on the list because it is a Tom Hanks movie, and I figure let's see Tom Hanks at his worst. Which it's
I
really
haven't seen that.
hard. It's really hard to get below Bachelor Party. That's like the worst fucking Tom Hanks performance I've ever seen. Like the rest of the movie was okay. And this is on the bingo card, so make sure you guys mark this off. Bruce bitches about Bachelor Party. Yeah, I absolutely hate the two leads in that movie.
Someone does not want us to watch Paint Your Wagon one day. It's one of my mom's favorite movies. Well, my mom had a lot of musicals. My mom liked musicals a lot.
We understand that.
But Bruce even watched Victor Victoria with me because that was one of my mom's very favorite. And Birdcage. That's another one I want to put on the list. That's a good movie too. Because I love Gene Hackman. Like, I've told you that before many times.
He's a hell of a man. He really is.
He's a good actor. Really enjoy him.
We're going to adjourn from this, and next week, if you like more of what we do, we're going to be watching this movie that Crafting Gamer has said Rockadoodle, and I'm like, okay, fine, let's go for it.
No, we haven't done an animated one before, have we?
No, we did South Park.
South Park.
Imagination Land.
South Park. Imagination Land. God, that was good too. I enjoyed that one.
So appreciate y'all being here. If there's any questions, drop a comment, and
anyone can join us if you want to watch Rockadoodle with us before we do the review. You can watch it with us in Bruce's Discord. So just send him a message, and we'll make sure you get a link so you can come watch it with us.
Shit, I'll just drop the link right now. That way you guys have this. And as much as I love the movie Titan AE, that is not a good movie. It's an enjoyable film. It's not good. It's guilty pleasure level.
I haven't seen that one.
This is a much superior film. Fire and Ice is probably my favorite traditional animated film. It's either Fire and Ice or it's Flash Gordon, The Greatest Adventure Ever Told, which we'll have to watch that someday soon because, fuck, we could. Thanks, Alucard. You just gave me inspiration there. Thanks. The next 3 streams I pick: Fire and Ice, Flash Gordon, and
I forgot about Flash Gordon. God, there's so many good movies.
No. Flash Gordon, the animated one. Okay. Back in the day, Dino De Laurentiis is looking for money to make this Flash Gordon movie. Take care, Papa Cotton. Be well, my friend. Dino De Laurentiis wants it, and Lou Scheimer from Filmation can get it. Well, Filmation wants to make a Flash Gordon film, and so they throw the idea at NBC, like, hey, we want to do this really cool cartoon for Flash Gordon. This is in the early 80s or late 70s. We want to do this, and Dino's here. He wants to make this live action movie based on Flash Gordon. And so ideas are thrown around, and NBC says, go ahead and make your animated film about Flash Gordon because you've got a Flash Gordon TV show right now, and I guess people like it. Which it was good. It was really good for the time being. It was a fantastic and well animated show. But then Dino De Laurentiis starts talking about how he's going to get all this stuff for this Flash Gordon movie, And so NBC takes the animated movie and shelves it until 1984, and they shelve it and they don't do anything with it, but air it one time on a Saturday night in 1984, and it's on YouTube now. You can watch it. We can have a watch party on it because it's not protected. It's not like a movie you buy where you have to pay money for, and they've got scrambling, so I can't share it with you in Discord like others. I hate that.
I know.
I hate that. That's like you fucking commies. Like, no, we've already paid for this. I paid for this since 1984 because I've bought your commercials, I've bought your products, I've done your things, I've stood on my head for your stupid shit. Let me watch this animated show from 1984 at no injury to myself or you. And let me share it with some friends who want to have a good time. We will buy stuff later. Trust us. So that's probably one of the best two. And we're gonna showcase these two animated shows in the next month on this channel: Fire and Ice and Flash Gordon, the greatest story never told.
Are they both cartoons?
They are. They're both actually cartoons that were done with rotoscoping technology. So
it sounds exciting to me. I'm willing to watch them.
All right. So keep your poker pointed this direction, and we will be happy to entertain next Sunday for the movie Thelma and Louise. And after that, we'll do Fire and Ice. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up over on X to watch and just listen. And, everyone that showed up here on YouTube. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I fucked up. Next week is Rockadoodle. The week after that is Thelma and Louise. The week after that is Fire and Ice. Then the week after that's Janet's going to pick. And then 5 weeks from now, we wrap it up with Flash Gordon, the greatest story never told. And then we'll figure out what's going on after that. But appreciate you all being here. Say some nice things about Hungar. Make sure he doesn't enter like the casket. I don't even like saying that. Make sure he gets well.
Can I ask everybody in the chat, please, if you're following me on Discord or if you're on my X or something, send me a movie suggestion for the couple weeks from now, and I'll just go through everybody's and make a selection from that, and it'll help out a little bit. If you don't want to end up with something like Thelma and Louise, I mean, I can't help it if I'm a woman. I like certain movies, but I do like action movies too. So it's not just, I don't watch a lot of romances and stuff like that. But if you guys have some ideas, just send them my way and I'll go through them. Thank you. You guys have a great Sunday.
Let me post a Discord link and then we will exit.
Okay.
There you go, Halakar. Be well, everyone. We will see you next week.